Hello, I'm Theodore Parker, and this is a sideshow. Today is Monday, July 25th, 2022. Still reminding you about the mask. Um, Mask not only in relation to COVID 19 and its variants, but also, although it's not the same type of situation, World Health Organization has added caution toward and in regarding monkeypox. Global situation as an update. So you can take it upon yourself to inquire from the internet as to what it is for you locally. About 73 degrees around here right now, going up to 86. Last couple of days, I've been telling people that it has been a heat advisory going on. So I had no plans to be outside. I think 83 was feeling like 90. 93 was feeling like 102. I don't think got higher than that, but that was still enough. That was still enough. I did go out over the weekend in what I consider to be the morning, or at least about noontime, to the market, local Walmart. And I had to wait, for my ride to come back or to come pick me up. So in the time that I was out there sitting, it was like within a few minutes, I could feel the heat like oppressing to my face. And then my skin started getting warm. And then it wasn't within an hour, or less than an hour, I was sweating and I wasn't even moving. Perspiration started to bead up on my face. So that's when I decided, well, the ride was going to be it's going to take longer than I thought. So I went back inside. But that was my experience. And that was like Saturday. Sunday was still heat index over 100. So, that's the weekend. Here we are on Monday, a little bit milder, but still promising to go up to 86. And that's what made me mention that the temperature at 80, was like 83, was like 90. So that's 7 more degrees higher. So it's up to you, how you think about it. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate if you have to be out. Hydrate. And here's something else right quick. No matter who you are, what your cultural background is, they do have sunscreen. I think SP15, that's universal. That's good for everybody. So don't think that because you are like me or from my culture or are black, that you can't get sunburned. You can, and I have experienced it. So, even if you buy a tube, a can, a spray of whatever it is, sunscreen at SP15, and only use it once, consider it well spent. Sunburn is painful. Okay, on with the things. Last week of July 2022, but this time next week we'll be in August. So, let's just dib and dab with a few things. Almost every day we hear something about the Russia-Ukraine war and everything. And sometimes it just pays to go back over things to make sure that you got your ducks in a row, that you know what's really going on. Okay? So the original situation, if I recall, was that Russia sat on the borders of Ukraine for however long they did with 100,000 troops waiting, to decide if their special operations was going to go forward. And all of us, including myself, just kind of took it in stride and said, yeah, well, maybe they will, they won't, maybe they're just talking stuff and this and that and the other. But here's the deal. They did, they have, and they are continuing to, which we see. But motivation was at the time, the UN, everybody else knew that Ukraine, along with several other countries, were on the verge of being invited into NATO. Okay? So, as far as the borders of Russia is concerned, that would like have affected them. And as you have seen in relation to gas, food, wheat, everything else that has played out from it. But here's another situation, a part of the same scenario. You have democracy, and then you have countries that don't follow the democratic doctrine or the democratic way. That would be China, and I mentioned this before, Russia, and North Korea. And search as you may, that is it. That is it. That is it. China, Russia, and North Korea. But in the interest of all concerned, commerce flows, international dealings flow, back and forth, you do for me, I do for you flows, you know, regardless of your, philosophy. As long as you, act like act like you got some sense. Okay, when you get beyond that, then you have a whole another thing. And the situation is that communism is not Russian, it's not North Korean, it is Chinese, based on Mao Zedong's Little Red Book. So, with all these countries, Ukraine came into NATO, Sweden came into NATO, a couple of other countries, that just kind of like, for lack of a better expression, just all backfired. So the latest news thing that came up was that Russia fired 4 missiles and Ukraine took out 3. And the 4th one was taken out by Command South. So that just like went to me to something else, because it's like you out and somebody speaks to you and with your friends and so forth and so on, and you say, you don't know who that was? Did you see that? You don't know who that was? So that's like it was for me seeing Command South, because early in the Biden administration, the when the administration and the cabinet and everything was all getting set up, there was Command North and Command South. And those are usually run by generals in the military. So Command South had been assigned to Army General Laura J. Richardson, U.S. Southern Command. And the other woman got the North Command. And I kind of follow Southern Command because it goes with South America and transportation, just to name 2 areas. So if you want it gotten done, I don't say she had to step out of her office and look down the hall and do one of them numbers, but almost. And then when I hear about all these drug busts, millions of dollars, billions, $1 billion bust, I said, well, yeah, that's Command South to me, my opinion. So when I saw this, the 4th Missile Command South, I said, oh, back in the game, okay? But all this kind of led, like especially with it being ongoing and the way Russia has conducted itself, especially in bombing non-military targets. They could say the bomb got dropped accidentally or got misdirected or whatever, however they want to put it, along with all the other stories about what personnel are doing or not doing. It still comes down to the same thing, February 4th to where we are now, July 24th, they cannot say that Ukraine has done what they said as far as surrendering is concerned. And now that they are part of NATO, NATO's involved. So the other thing, monkeypox, is another thing like, back in the day type story situation, because I guess like when I was growing up, and if you ask me again, I'll tell you the same thing, probably older than you. Back in the day, old school situation, it was always this little play on Cold War, the Cold War, and biochemical warfare, for lack of a better expression right now. So that was like supposed to be some kind of technical thing where the you could send out a chemical or a bio thing and it would wipe out the population and leave the buildings, and the enemy could just walk right in and take over, no sweat, no bother. Okay. So when I keep hearing a consistent thing, not that we haven't had other warnings in the past, E. coli, Ebola, all the rest of that kind of stuff, but this is just like back to back. And it's hard for me mentally every time I want to say it's something that escaped from the lab or some accident in the lab. And that's probably because I'm influenced by Hollywood. You always have, and it's such a plethora of things that you're meant to dismiss it. You are meant to dismiss it. It's designed for you to dismiss it. Anywhere you want to start. Let's take Will Smith's I'm a Legend. Military person, doctor, um, evacuation going on to open the picture because some virus has escaped, and his family goes up in the helicopter, and something happens, they have an accident, so the helicopter explodes, and that's it. So the rest of the picture is him trying to get adopted to trying to find a cure for this virus that has turned everybody into zombies or whatever kind of, creature they are. And you take zombies. Okay, Walking Dead. The other day I'm watching a commercial, and like I say, it's so much you just kind of like take it in stride, but it's all supposed to be some kind of disease-based thing. But in reality, in this situation, when they researched coronavirus, COVID-19, it said it came from a wet market because a bat bit something or whatever, and that caused it to jump from animal to human. The same way with monkeypox. At first, it was declared to be, and I remember from the homosexual community, then it said that it jumped from, because I always see, my mind is really weird. I say, I know, or at least I hope, people are not out there engaging themselves with animals to that point, so we name something monkeypox, it's like, oh yeah, but it still jumps. So anyway, this was one of those things where wherever it was jumped over into human population. And so there we have it. Now we have a global situation for monkeypox. So the scenario is always there. So it just leads me to kind of question. I hope this line of breadcrumbs, because of so much information, not cause you to lose track of the fact that we have global situations where there are viruses and diseases being addressed. Back in the day, that would have been biochemical warfare. So I'm watching this commercial on The Walking Dead, whichever one of The Walking Dead it was, and the woman is standing there. Well, she's walking. Then 3 or 4 Walking Dead people come up the street. Excuse me. And instead of her running to get out of the way, she takes her hair, moves it back, and says, I want to go with you. And the zombie bites her, or the Walking Dead person bites her. I said, now that's a switch. So like I said, you got all these stories about escaped viruses, infections, from zombies to vampires, however you want, but mostly zombies. And you just kind of like take it in stride. But one you ought to go check on is Zombie Double Tap. It's not so much the story, it's just like a repeat of the same storyline, but it's the cast. The cast in Zombie Double Tap is worth watching. So, those are a couple things. Espionage, industrial espionage, that was all part of Cold War. Right now, you got a supply chain issues. They're telling you they're trying to seek your information and watch who you give it to, and warnings about TikTok, which is virtually taken over. All the challenges and everything else that goes on, besides people just get on there crying the blues and telling stories, amazing enough, about their personal situations. So it's just how it is. 2022. So trying to give individual reports and individual stories on things can generally just be wrapped up in like, well, here we are, July 25th, 2022, on a Monday, about to get into August, and whatever you want to look at on the news to reference you back to the world against communism, I guess. Everybody's trying to survive at the gas pump, trying to survive at the grocery store, trying to hold on to their jobs. I was almost thinking they might have reduced that. I keep thinking Monday to Friday, but some people are, some people are not. Some people are probably at a 4-day week, which makes 32 hours, and calling it 40 because they have a job, you know? So that's the real. So the question is, how hot is it? They had thunderstorms warning around here, but that was for Indiana up until midnight. Then it rained. So, excuse me. The how hot is it story references over the weekend amongst everything else that happened. Big Three basketball, Tour de France for women, NASCAR, car racing. Yeah. So anyway, NASCAR specifically, NHRA, which I think was held in Iowa. So anyway, it was hot, right? So whoever the winner was, her team or that person's team was on the racetrack in that little area, cheering on and rolling and yeah, we won, all this other kind of stuff. So a couple of kids was on the track as well. And they're advancing, cheering. So all of a sudden, the young boy starts walking like Frankenstein, you know. I mean, not so much the shoulder thing, but you know, the lifting of the feet and this type of thing.